Hello again, everyone. Keta Kosman, publisher of Madison's Lumber Reporter. Okay, and so we're just past the middle of March, and I have some exciting updates about the lumber prices, which have started to go up. There was quite a bit of terror among the industry on both sides of the border in the first week of March when the tariffs, they were no longer a threat. So there was literally 3 days. The tariffs came on and then on a Tuesday, and then they came off on the Thursday. This caused a lot of turmoil because nobody knew what to do. It's quite complicated. So it's one thing to issue an executive order putting on a tariff. How is that order to be followed was not clear. So we talk to here at Madison's in situations like this, the customs brokers at the border, because they're the ones who need to implement. If there's a change to policy, if there's a trade difference happening, they're the ones who need to make sure they fill out the right forms and send it off and do everything that they're supposed to be doing. They didn't have any instructions. So I previously said in a video when this was coming up, when it hadn't been put on yet, that there was some different responses. Different sawmills in different regions had a different strategy to deal with it. Whether they chose to try to ship as much wood as they could across the border before the beginning of March, or hold back and wait and see what the final, what the final announcement or result was going to be. And so the ones who had been trying to ship before the beginning of March but didn't make it, they got stuck with the tariff. And then the ones who held off and did not ship were lamenting because it was only 3 days. They could have easily just done business as usual and not even worried about it. So now, supposedly, there's going to be another announcement in early April. I'm not sure how much that's going to affect lumber because this is in a process of negotiation, but in a more emergency, sort of urgent reason right now is the storms that just happened in the US this past weekend. A lot of destruction of housing. There are no numbers on that yet, but just by looking at the images, it's easy to see that there was a lot of damage to roofs, and re-roofing after storm is one of the things that causes an increase in demand for lumber. So if you watched my previous video just now and saw that the housing starts in the US are up, single family starts are up, early days in this year, not something that we can definitely determine what that means for spring, but it does look good. It does look better than last year and 2023, which at least were not particularly down. They were flat. So let's look at some graphs of the lumber prices, and I'll explain in more detail where the increases are regionally and on what products. So here we have the Madison's Lumber Prices Index constructed using the same species mix as the new lumber futures. If people go on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange and see what lumber futures are doing, they will find that the trend line of price movement matches almost exactly what we're reporting here. This is cash, or what's known as print. So the black line is this year, and you can see how indeed in the last few weeks the price was rising after being flat for most of this year. Part of the reason was the normal seasonal increase in buying, but the very second last dot there up was due to the tariff and uncertainty in knowing what will happen with the market going forward. That is now corrected and the price is flattened out. We will see what happens in the coming weeks as spring really does come on. And then now into real detail, the benchmark Western Spruce Pine Fir KD 2x4 number 2 and better. This product comes out of British Columbia, Alberta, Washington State, Oregon, and a little bit out of Idaho. The blue line is this year. You can really see how it was flat at the beginning and matching exactly 1 year ago, which is what I'm talking about, good stability. And then now in the last few weeks rising up. This is normal for the seasonal. If you look at the pink line 2023, it was falling at this time of year. This is because the announcement of increasing interest rate was coming out and people were being put off new home buying and therefore new housing construction. And here is the top 6 benchmark lumber prices. The graph that you were just looking at is the pink line Western Spruce. So that price for the week of March 14th was US $550 per thousand board feet, up from the previous week when it was $535, and up $68 from 1 month ago when it was $483, up $98 from 1 year ago when it was $452. The other benchmark item price that a lot of people are interested in is the yellow line, the Southern Yellow Pine East Side. This price for the week of March 14th was US $465, up from the previous week at $460, up $18 from 1 month ago when it was $448, and up $50 from 1 year ago when it was $415. And so this is the relationship between the different commodities. The third one that does be used in the same application as those two is the Eastern Spruce, the blue line. As you can see, shot up quite a bit in the last month. We'll see if that corrects down due to resolving the March tariff, or if it stays the same, should there become an April tariff. And this is the same data presented as a table showing you the historical. Do pause the video and have a look at those prices this week compared to last week compared to 1 month ago. One of the reasons why there has been this price stability in the last couple of years while demand has been softer is because the sawmills have reduced manufacturing capacity to keep the supply in line with that lower demand. We have, for the past couple of years, due to this muted housing demand, the sawmills have been taking downtime and curtailment. So there is actually a very large amount of volume capacity in lumber manufacturing in Canada and also across the US, able to come back online without any change to timber harvest or log availability. Just simply the production volumes at the mills have been down about 12% in Canada and 7% in the US for the past couple of years. So if there is some kind of pop of a boom of lumber demand, the existing industry that is already operating, the sawmills that are already running, are able to ramp up, bring people back into the work, and make more lumber to serve that demand. It would take, unless, again, something more drastic occurs this year, it would take a year or two from now for this existing, just beginning momentum that we're having in more home buying and more housing construction to top up that reduction in lumber volume and exceed that to the point where there will be new sawmills opening or new timber harvest opening up to bring more logs into the existing mills. And there have been, this past year in 2024, announcement of new sawmill facility. Don't miss out. Your competition and colleagues are already subscribing to the weekly Madison's Lumber Reporter dashboard. Get all the great data and functionality of the tool every week. Significant amount of engineered wood and advanced wood product sawmill remanufacturer mills that are going to be built. This is the future. where people talk about different building materials, whether for single family home or multifamily. We all know now about the mass timber, cross-laminated timber. There is also glulam, LVL, LSL, and veneers. These are all made as components, and panels, wall panels, to be structural and hold up the house or building, community center, or whatever it might be. There are several new of those kind of mills around the world, but across North America, in Canada and US, that are have announced to be built and will be coming online. The very important thing in this to understand is that while the dimension lumber sawmills use the #2 saw log out of the forest, these new engineered wood advanced building material mills use peeler logs. So when the sawmill requests the timber harvester to go out into the forest and bring back the logs to the mill, those logs get sorted. Logs have grade like lumber has grade. So the certain kind of grade of log can make the certain kind of grade of lumber. And because until now, the vast majority of lumber manufacturing across North America or the world has been dimension lumber, so your 2x4 boards, this kind of thing. The #2 saw log is the one that has been the most utilized, and the peeler logs have been either left behind in the forest or just sitting in the mill, not really doing anything. So this is a great opportunity to make better use of the fiber that is harvested in the forest, and then make a material that the input cost is lower, but the sales price of the finished product is much higher. These advanced materials and engineered wood cost a lot more than a 2x4, and the feedstock, the peeler logs, generally are less expensive than the #2 saw log. So that's just a real quick economics explanation. So if you like what you see here, click like, so this video will get recommended to other viewers. Subscribe here on YouTube so you will be notified when we make another video. And if you need to know more than just this small snapshot of a little bit of an update that I make quickly once in a while, in the caption here is a link to fill out a form, and you can get a sample. And we will send you the list of what is the 500 individual softwood lumber and panel commodity prices across North America that we track, and what is the price for that week. We will also send you the commentary explaining why those prices have changed. This is all available for my customers who have a login to the dashboard, and they see all that data. They don't need to watch me on YouTube, and they can get it on Friday mornings every week when it's updated.